Okay, guys, it's starting. Smoke a little weed. I hope I'm able to stay in good shape in my mind. I hope I'm going to stay on track. This is a short video. It's a short video because it fits inside a little wire and goes into a big box. And every single box is separated, of course, by size. So I know the distance and the shape, that everything is connected to the center. So it's all short lines, just like short lines in Monopoly. If you go from 1 to 2, it's a short line across. If you go from 1 to 9, you go down. You go down 45. 45th Street, of course, is in New York, isn't it not? Or is it 54th Street? But it doesn't matter, because it came all out of the computer and into your head and into your television and kitchen and telephones and everything you see on the net, just till it's all mixed up that you think these streets exist and famous for the remembrance of the good old Lord God, the scientist, the chemist, the alchemist, the one who tricked everybody. But it's true, there were dinosaurs, but not here. This planet, did it have dinosaurs? Maybe it had some sort of sword, maybe just a sword head of some sort. Do you know they had on Fred Flintstone, and in French they call that a hot rock. And then they came out with rock and roll, throwing the dice, the roll of the dice, throw craps to understand the numbers of another game. You know, I smoke. I'm going to tell you one of my thoughts during smoking weed is that, oh my God, I'm -5. Now what that means is I'm scared. I'm on go in Monopoly, and I'm scared to go forward into life. Because the first 2 out of 4 or 5 positions, okay, is a chance I take, is a community chest, it's a tax, you get to go to the railroad, and right away you're shipped off. You can't get the Mediterranean or the medication to understand the world, so you go back where the boardwalk is, and you can have a leisure time. Maybe you'll back up 1 too short, but you'll get a gold bracelet with a diamond on it, just like they have in poker, and in my world, just like they say 1 is good, or the R, or the A, or the 9th letter. The bracelet, the golden bracelet. The ring, the diamond that does not fall to the sands of time. The pyramids fell apart in the sands of time because inside the pyramids there were other elements that were going to connect them together. Hey guys, yeah, I'm a pyramid over here. Come over here. Hey, what's your name? I'm a Mayan. Whoa. You're a Hopi Indian? I can tell by your ears. You know who told me? You know what the name of this Hopi Indian was? They called them Bugs. Hey, Bugsy Malone. Hey, what's going on? Bugs Bunny. Then they brought him up in creation again. Michael Jordan, number 23. I started at being scared. So if I go backwards and get the luxury tax, before that, it's Park Place. 16 and 16, or 6111, or 6116, saying that each 6 owns a 1. And it doesn't matter if the 1s are together, because when the 1s try to multiply, they can't do it. They jump on each other, they're both the same, one is lost in the other, unless you turn one sideways. Creation of the woman. So where were we? We were scared and we were backing up Monopoly. But if we back up 5 too much, and we end up on the trains, when we start to roll forwards, okay, if we get a 5, we get to go. But if we get a 6, we get to go 2. Because that would be the Mediterranean. The 7 would be a community and a chest, the chest of the community. The next dice, which would be the 8, would be the Baltic, and it'd be nice to go down to Asia. I heard it's nice, the Baltic Sea. The ball and the tick-tock of the clock of one end of the stick out the other side of the world. Ask me, because I don't know. Ask me, because I will know. Just as he who stutters, I too have learned to understand the part of the stuttering. It is the interior of your mind between the thinking and getting the answer, and the speed of the two are offset. It is also the amount of information that might be there, or your trend of thought is not good. For myself, I am bipolar. The other side of my mind is on Mars. My head is in the sky of Venus, and I'm always connected to Jupiter. But I'm never without my mind, even if it's far off. And man's far off, and he does wrong things, and he can't really think because he doesn't understand his mind. When we have a tsunami, regarding unless or of the tsunami, and we'll forget about the guy who was scared to start go, because if he ended up on 11, he would end up at Oriental, and that's in Asia. And 12, he'd be on chance, and he's always taking a chance. At least he's not visiting jail, because that would be the 15th dice. Sorry. So where was I? I jumped back in time. If you can remind me where I was at the stutter, right? The reason for the stutter in Mars. Mars, let us say, has spores, which means it's like an aero bar inside. What it does is there's cubicles for places all around the Earth. And then in those cubicles is the people that live around the Earth. And it comes out like icicles, so they can pinpoint who you are. Just like when you look on Google Maps, you can see the pinpoint to who you are from a big area to a small area, grabbing just the one thing. And in each area of who you are, you have your life. But you live within all the bubbles. They have a lot of chocolate that's closed in. The knitting is closed on the outside. And that's a padding. A padding where if you squeeze it, you will cry or you will get hurt. But while you're in the bubble, you're doing fine. But if you don't cry, the skin above will harden. The chocolate will dry. And you will have no comfort. You are not thinking straight. You are not bubbling. When they give you the aero bar, it is purely white with brown covering, with a little dark brown. Aero. Air, Rio. Rio de Janeiro. Breakfast. Breakfast time. Rio de Janeiro. Aero. Air. R letter. O-A-C. The R letter brings an A. The O is the O. R-O-C. R-O-C-K. The rook. What does the rook do in chess? You see, I don't know where I'm completely forgetting. I'm continuing on like in a book. I can't keep going back and try to make you see points. This is a continuous thing. It comes in my head. I have to block the tides from leaving Mars in the aero bar. I repeat things over and over and over again because I'm on a page looking at 6 different places. Why? Because I got 6 different books in front of me. I just keep turning the pages. I keep opening up more books, more places to put my element of connection for the mind. So in this aero bar, we're always moving around. And in between every 4, in the aero bar, in between every 4 of the aero bar, a ball here, a ball here, a ball here, a ball here. If you put a ball in the center and the 4 balls on the outside are big enough, there will be no more space for any more balls. So you will now be in a group of 4, in which 1 is carrying 1 for 4, 4 for 1. 4 before the train track, 4 after the train track, to each corner, 4 before, 4 after. 4 and 11. O is the 15th letter. It says A and E. Angel Electronic. 1 and 5. A and E. The first 5 letters. The in-between is the C. A-C-E, ACE. 1 and 5 out of the 6. F-A-C-E, face. We're in a maze, my friends. We're in a maze, my friends. What we see is what we think we see. But it's all a big maze, and it's done like this. The maze is not where we walk. It's how we think. We never connect everything together. We just connect as is. Okay, what's the definition of that, hon? Okay. We're always satisfied. What a great life. Always satisfied with the truth from another. When the other believes they're even telling the truth. But in between here and there was in between. And if you were in between, then you were there too. And there were two of us. So now we're on the ball of four. So it's like the 5 dice, but wait a second. In each chalice, ring of the chalice, the chandelier, okay, there drops 4 more. You're never anywhere with 4, 1, 4. 2 worlds carried around by 1. But then wait. There's now got to be a reflective world for the balance. And then you need 2 lines to hold them up. Now you've connected 2 sides of the dots of the creation of the world, because we're creating all the books. We're taking all the books into account, because everything counts. Stuttering, because the mind and the mind can figure it out, how to get through it. Sometimes the chemicals we miss do not allow us to get through it. But then how come, for the state of bipolar up and high and down in 2 areas, why am I like this? Because Mars is like the arrow bar. And what happens is there's more than one chamber, just like they show in the Kabbalah and the chakras. The chakras, there's more than one chamber, like the chalice, okay? And in the chalice, when the water broke on the Da Vinci Code, that was because man's thinking in global totality fills up these chambers. One kind of thought takes up the same amount of space as this kind of thought. But the bubbles are bigger, there's more air. The other ones, they're more dense. So the evil is more heavier. That's why the woman has bigger bubbles and they're fat, for the jolliness of Santa Claus and coming into life, the claws of life. God sent his children into this world being born through him. He was the only man to ever have a child. And billions of them too. Because it's his energy and his goo and his pot. What do you think you see the pharmacy thing? They got a stick and they got a pot. Where they get it, they crack the coconut in half, they open it up, they get 2 cups. 1 cup here, 1 cup there. You have 1 cup of this and 1 cup of this. He takes the spoon of the ladle of the anal of the navel. Of the navel of the birth. Of the nasal of the breathe. We are bubbly. But what happens when we get light and they get heavy? Mars chambers offset. Mars chambers offset. And when Mars chambers offset in the totality of the chalice, and there's more than one chalice, of course, it's the Vinci Code chalice, and it has to be connected to 5. 4, 1, and 4, because that's our solar system. When this debalances onto one side, the angles change from 60 degrees or 90 degrees to 45 degrees, from 180 degrees, all the way down to back to on the tilt of 22.5 degrees. When they get to the tilt of 22.5 degrees, there's no turning back. The letter X on this angle, the angle we walk, basically. This is, well, it's like this. I have to shut up my phone. I have to shut up my phone. So I'm just going to try and get back to where I was. So the angle of that 22.5 degrees, why I said it, is because it's half of 45. You see 45 left and 45 right, and 45 left and 45 right is 90 and 90. So each one is short 10 from the end of the field on their side. And if they're starting from inside their field, they're only at the 80, and that's where heaven begins. Heaven begins at the 40-yard line. Plus the end zone makes 50. But that's in your field of play, and it counts for nothing because it's your home run, it's your zone. Now, where was I before the telephone rang? I was talking about people and the shuttering, the shutters. Well, And Monopoly, 10 before, 10 after, the moon. Where was I? Where was I? It was 5 before and 5 after. I was saying A and E equals face and ace. And I was at 22.5 degrees. Thank you very much. I was at 22.5 degrees. So that's 1/4 of 90. And 90 is God. 10 and you're 9 birth. 9-0. 9 times O is 90. Because the O is the X. The X is the O. XO. Tic-tac-toe. Doesn't matter who wins, you get the same points. Two, 2, and 5 equal 9. 22 is the 22nd letter. Means life in French. 5 is the 5th letter. The electronic world. But not only the electronic world, because it says N and M and G and J or G. It just says a whole lot of things. And it mixes up between the languages. That means what's mixed up and how do we tell the difference is no difference at all. Because we can't tell the difference anymore. So we make it sound like one. So with 10 languages, I can have one now. One letter. Just one letter out of all the languages are all the same. There's going to be at least 4 major languages in which one is completed. And the one that's completed, I'm sorry to say, is Hebrew. Because Hebrew is part Greek. Hebrew is part English. Hebrew is part Spanish. There's a couple of others, I'm not quite sure yet what they are. But I will have oppositions. One up to the left, one up to the right, me straight up, straight ahead to the next one. Who's above me, who's entering me into this world that I see, of the words I say, of 90 degrees. And we can switch this all up to tennis if you want, but we're not going to go there. Where I will go is that I did a video before, and it was describing how much time it would take for the world to go around 360 degrees. And what I mean by that is we're going around 365.25 every year. There's 5.25 missing. So I made a calculation that after 68 years, okay, the 68 years, 5.25 days each year is lost to the core where the timer is. But that core is in 2 positions because there's the pin and the one that holds the pin in, which is the Omega God. You are the pin. You are that core. So it expands. Where does it expand? Here. What is this? This is connected to the moon. It's one point, Google us, Google my head, and point it at the moon. The moon is round, comes down around here, the core, and holds me up like a little baby, or like a little clown cat, or I'm riding a pony. I'm on a pony ride, run it to the moon just about every single day, and it brightens up 28 days later. So she has her period in red. So all the little eggs are dead. Or just about, because they're on the run. They didn't have no fun. Couldn't get the flag out of the hole. 2 men hit a ball, each one a hole in one. You look into the hole, you see 1 shaft and 2 balls. What are you thinking now? It's lucky it's not 2 women, because otherwise they jump on it. But when they pull out the staff, they see there's a hole, and then maybe a threesome. Of course, there's air pockets around that hole too. Watch out which pocket you hit. One is the entrance exhaust, and I'm exhausting right now, and the other I'm sitting on, doing nothing. When it's ready to do something, I'll sit it in its right place, just over the oval, where the water is, and let it go. Usually goes out like snakes, because man was a snake when he had to think. Because on Mars, coming up to tsunami, there's a balance between Mars and Saturn. There's a balance between Venus and Neptune. There's a cross-corner connection element I call the garbage can of Earth, Mercury, Pluto, and the transfer element into life is the 7th gate, which is inside where the G string is, or the G point. Because G is the 7th letter. The same thing as God's 7th gate, and the letter for God is 777. We got all the same thing happening in 3 different worlds. Have you slept with your wife lately? Do you know what it's all about? When you enter heaven, you ship it on in. Hips, H-I-P-S, S-H-I-P. You got to ship, you got to let her ship it in, ship it out. You get it in at the right time, you You know what? You ship it in at the right time. It starts off this small. You can barely see it. By the time it comes out, it's this big. Wow, the golden egg, eh? You shot it up one time. Then you got 9 pounds. You ate a half a pound of meat. You got 9 pounds of child. Holy shit. They're always usually coming out at between, I don't know, 15 inches long omega, all the way to 21. If they hit 22, they get light. The taller they are when they come out, the taller you know what they're going to be like. It doesn't matter how tall they end up, because how tall they end up at 21 years old, we'll already know, because we put the birth to the finite of the man's growth. He has made his growth. The rest is upon his mind. His body is done. It's time for the mind to have his fun and use the body for number one, for who he is, a benign birth, entering into the sixth man. 9 times 6 is 54, reverses 45 is 99. Spirit angel of man, 119, 911. We're on fire. Let me see what I have marked down in my book. So we were doing the moons, and I did 68 moons, and I came up to 357 days. But there's 360 days in my world. In order to bring time around, we must match 360. So when I looked at 357, I asked myself a question. I said, once you put man on earth, you must lower the pyramids from above and from below. Of course, they were all upside down to each other because it took up less space. So when they dusted them off in the areas that were calculated, and the Mayans moved them in their place, the world, the wind, the fire began to grow. The pyramids started to melt. God knew there was a mistake in this area, so he opened H. H is the heaven, to let in the water to rise the pyramids so they can cool down and create the islands of man. To cool down and create the islands of man. This is the time of Noah. It was time that the face of the earth took a change. So he made it rain. And he rained on the world, and he rained on everybody, because R-E-I-G-N can be a fox and can be a queen. God can be father and mother because he let his children go. Do not let your children go. Mars, therefore, when all the energies that are in the world right now, that have been building over thousands of years, but changing over time from Noah, from the time, the only reason that Moses took the people out from Egypt in front of Pharaoh was because of time. You can find that exact date. What I'm saying, in order to split the sea, okay, the H letter, when you pull it apart, when you see one line across, it's not one line across. There's 2 lines across. And then there'd be a supportive bar, okay, just a rod that would point straight across, just so it doesn't have any play in it. You have to build over your build. When you don't have any elements of welding or anything, you have to build over your build. Everything is doubled and tripled all the time. But if it's double and tripling, he's creating his own free space, in his own free time, of the natural elements in which the earth should live. So what happens now is all these elements are flooding inside all these planets right now. And inside every planet there's an element. When these elements mix, it shoots something into the conscious air inside of Mars, where God's fire breathes into Mars. 1 on the telephone, 4 below, 1 blows into 4. 7 is the God, blows up to 4. So watch out who you're blowing, because Mars is on fire. The green Martian is because of the algae that lies below. The soft algae that if we follows the bubble, we can eat off the grounds. But we eat off each other, because as the bubbles touch each other, the outer film touches each other. The outer film is always moving inside and out, lubricating and feeding, so all the bubbles get fed. Well, right now, man has hardened the earth. The tilt came, the Liberty Bell, Philadelphia, is out. Washington is up for a pennant from the Montreal Expos. Suppose so, don't you know? Don't suppose expose Philly's Liberty Bell. Ringing the bell goes back to Mars, the tilt is coming. See, I read this backwards, I can find my place. Just balance it off. Instead of using one mind to think with the other, I just separate it. I try to keep myself in the center and on the left while I'm on the right. Instead of my brain being here, it's now here. I'm going to both sides, one for a quick storage to back up, one to go forward. So we're back on Mars right now, okay? And Mars tilts. Mars is the feeder, okay, of your natural energy. Then there's the Earth and the Sun that feed you, that sends out the message. Some planets can pick up the message and some planets could, stars, etc. It goes from one star to the next star. Ladies and gentlemen, there were 6 players on the ice. One was a goaltender, and there were 6 on each team. We had the 3-star selection because we toss things from star to star. Hit and miss, hit and miss, hit and miss, hit and miss. Ball goes a little further, you won't pull out your arm, and once you hit 90, there's a berth. So in baseball, once you hit 90 pitches, the manager comes to the mound. Oh, how are you feeling? How are your balls? Can you still throw a strike? How's your curveball feeling? My curveball? My thinking of going around to come back with how I throw that ball. We are only mechanic based on how we think. We can only do what we think. And if we think it exact, then the 9 will be the creation of what our hand will do. The motion of the brain, the commotion of the arm, the lotion that soothes the truth. Mars. We're back on Mars. So right now, this is what's happening. Automatically, yes, okay, I'm not 100% sure, I don't know how it works. There is the evil. Because there's an energy that has to go out. It has to pass somewhere, but it has to pass through man. Man has to see a little bit of everything. So installed in us, okay, not directly, but through the angels in heaven that you created your life when you came here. 65% of them said, I want to be good. 35% of it said, I want to be evil. Out of 65% that said, I want to be good, only 50% of them tried their hardest. 25% of them didn't try at all. 25% of them wanted to, but they didn't understand. So we ended up with, let's say, 65-35. And that's how evil is divided in this world. It's inside this world. Why? Because it's us in heaven playing our game in which we're doing from these eyes, knowing the truth of everything in heaven. If we want, we can go get it, yet using our own ways. So you marked your life for being that way. So since evil is evil, God gave them something special. And since good was good, He gave good people things that are special. But now, if you're a good boy, but you did a bad thing, you're going to think about it. If you're a bad boy and do a bad thing, you think it's a good thing. So at one point you're good because you think it's that way, and all in all, you're a bad and good guy. And bad and good is like plus and minus. You ain't anything at all, but you're starting up something new. New things come in bad people because that's the part of evolution. It's how high you can fly before you die. Mars is tilted. Some of us, it's flooding in the information. That's why some of us are talking the way I talk. Because the information is on the go. It's on the flow. I believe and I know. If it's coming in for me and one, it's coming in for many others. I am not alone. There are many, many and many, all around the world. Therefore, for the few we are, there must be many evil, because we count for 10 to 1. We are whole. Everybody else counts for 6. When the gate is on the other side, and the water is flowed only by that in between, they never meet unless they open their gate. If one gate is open, there is nothing more than anything other than to the left is 0. But it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just saying, meet to the left, I'm going nowhere. You can open your gates and you can go down with the flow and you can rain a storm as hail on earth. I'm going to get back to the moons. 68 years times 5.25 days. If this is right, it should come out to 361. 68 years. Let me say this again. 68 years times 5.25 days is supposed to equal 357. 357. I'm going to have to calculate this just so, 68 times 5.25 equals. Yes, 357. So at 357, okay, at 357, okay, at 357, you have come back to the starting of time, because I will show you 357. Where's the numbers? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm not going to show you that part because there's a continuous. You come out to 357. What's left over is 3. What would that be? Ava and Ima, right? But in order to get the whole thing is, if you made something, you have to bring it home. So we have to have 360 degrees plus 1 day. The truth of the leap year. What we do now is we get 361. It's a difference of 4. Now we're 1 over. Do you know where we're on now? 40 times 9 is 360. 360 degrees. We have gone all the way around from Go on Monopoly to end up on Go. 36 and 1 is 37. 37 times 3 in this world is 111. It is the center of the world. It is the cross of Christ. So now we have to go to the 68 years plus these 3 years. Why 3 years? In truth, you stop at 3 years is 360, because the 4th year is supposed to be the leap year. Unless you count it the way I count it, then the 4th year is like the 3rd year and like every other year. Now, the other thing like that is I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to work on something. 68, okay, years, okay, creates the 4 difference. Here's number 4. Oh, this is the flag that you put in the hole. It's number 2, number 4, number 5, and down here inside the hole, 168. 4, okay, why can I do this? Why can I cut this in? Because this is 1 quarter, once every 4 years. 6 and 8 is 14. In the center of Rubik's Cube, it's the 14th. 1 before you reach the cross. Only black and white can go over. Do you know why black and white can go over? Because this is only 1 quarter. Man couldn't pass unless he's dead or coming into the world. But God can pass at 1 quarter because he's black and white in 1. That lets him through. That's why 2 and 4 make 5 in the center. When this flag turns, okay, once this flag turns, you begin to have 2 sides because it's turning around from the wind. So then you feel it's a little windy, and what you do is you say, we're going to have to strengthen our flag, and all of a sudden we're on a boat, afloat, 2 triangles face to face, 1 place to stand on, 1 point up here. What are the coordinates of these numbers? Don't forget the cow jumped over the moon. We'll leave it at that for now because I'm not sure what's in my head and I don't want to drag anything else out of its bed. Halloween. You want to know about Halloween? You want to know about Christmas? Oh yes, I forgot to tell you one thing. Yes, the most important thing in this, the most important thing is this, is 357, okay, is because you're in the B world. Here you have the 3 dice. Then you have the 2 dice and the 1 dice. The 1 dice and the 2 dice make 3. The 2 and the 3 make 5, bringing this to 72, which is the Hebrew year that just ended. Okay, well, I'm working it back to 5. If I move this back to 345 or 354, okay, 354, wow, I should have did this before. Now it looks like I'm making it up. I am making it up. 354 is 3 times 54, 3 decks of cards, 54 cards because of the 2 jokers, whatever you want to do, 52 weeks, 2 weeks we're on vacation, or we get that extra vacation pay, and we don't have to fight the government for it or the companies because it became law many years ago. So we go back to 354. Okay, but the passage would come to birth, 354, and then 355, bing, 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 we hit the passage. 3 by 55 is 165. And that talks about the moon and 711. The moon and 711, 355. Anyways, when I get to 355 days, the 355th day of the year. Oh, excuse me. I can't go back to that. The entrance was on that day. I'll bring it to this day. 8 days before this day, okay, because this is the gate, and this is the 5-hole, the area, and this is the creation. We have 7 and 8 because the 8 makes the heaven, the 79 will make the birth. Okay, so if we go back to 79, okay, to 7, forget about 8, because there is no 8 unless the 9 exists. That's why in your telephone there's no extra letter on the 8 until the 9 gets its letter. And there's nothing left for the 8, because he's full of him, of you, of I. It is. So what happens over here? So you end up with, where am I? 3, 4, 5. I got to figure out, oh yeah, okay, I didn't see it. So the 359th day, okay, which is 365 like they say, back up those 6 days. December 25th, the year minus X, or in Hebrew, the year 57, the year 3757, the year Christ was born, 3757, the cracking of the egg, 3757, that's insane, 3757. Do you know why it's 57? I'm going to show you why. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Where is it? Here. 37. The monopoly board ends at 36 because it's 4 corners. You don't count. 37 on roulette ends at 36. You don't count the zeros. 3 worlds of 7 connections, 21. On the dice you count 1 to 6 is 21. 7 and 3 makes a perfect 10 worlds. 7 times 3 is 21. Alpha and beta. 3 and 7 is 10, make 31. The one spirit of the 3 creation, 1 and 3, the 13th letter, letter M, A to N, the first 13 letters in the alphabet. I bet again. Because if you keep on betting, you repeat the alphabet, you start in different positions. Why? Because of the water. The letter of E-A-U and the letter O. Because where there's an O, there's a passage. Look into that passage, you see? There's nothing in there. There's an O, just an empty space. If you put color on it, it might mean something. If you design the color and then put it over it, we'll see something else. In fact, we'll probably see the skies that we think are above us when they're actually not, because we're upside down. The Chinese are actually more right side up than who we are. I know. Everything is east. For est, French, for east. For est, best, east. Left, east, left. But I'm not going to get into that because I can keep on rhyming. I can sit here for hours and hours and hours. If I had a little input the same way as I had the output, I can keep going on because things always connect. We're still alive, aren't we? Well, you can say we're if you wish. So what we're going to get to is we can put this together, these 3 numbers here. Third. We are in the 3rd millennium, my friends, right? 3,000, because we're already in 2012. If we were in 2012, and we were in the 3000 millennium, we would be in year, here it is, year 3000. Go down to the year 2000. We have 2012, we have 988 years. 9 times 88. 720, 720. 72, 27 equals 99. 9 times 8 is 9 times 88. 72, it would equal to 792, if I remember. Is that what it is? Yeah. It's 792. 792 is actually the pentagram with its feet, its point in the air and its feet in each corner knocking on the door of number 7 and number 9 on your telephone keypad. Okay? Even if you don't have the angles or squared paper, there are certain things you can do because of your objectives. So now that we have 988 there, I showed you what it was, what it means, 988. Let's divide it up. Let's say there's a 44 world, which is the biggest world, holding on to a 22 world one side and a 22 world the other side, with a half in the center will equal 225, which is 9 quarters, 225, which is supposed to be the original. Why do they say bicentennial and all this stuff? Because the originality of everything is 225. It's 200 plus the 25. 24 plus 1. 1, 2, and 4. A, B, D. You don't need to announce the 3 because it's a D that came from the 3. Because the 3, 2 corners of the 3 dice is 2 parts of the 4 dice. But not on the 3 card. Now you need the 6. So we come up over here to 988. We multiply this. We get 792. I've gotten this answer before. If I remember, I think it's 9 times 9 is 81. Times 9 is 729. Multiply 9 by 9 by 9 equals 729, if I'm not mistaken. 92 of the birth, 2 worlds of 7. 5775 in the Hebrew calendar. The new year. In the year 5775, also known as the year 2014. When, what? No idea what, no idea how much, no idea of anything, except if it begins at 4, you choose the 4. If it is whole at 10, you choose the 10. October of the 4th. Then when and how do we know of which is he of O? Well, one spirit of 9 birth, one spirit of 9 birth, of where everybody who is living today is usually born in the 1900s, except for a few that are not bar mitzvahed yet. See, for us people living, I forgot to say that this year is the bar mitzvah edge, from where a boy becomes a man. 2012. Because of the year 2000, all the births before, time ended in Y2K, because the ace didn't count. Two years from now, in the year 1963, creation of man, 36, 6 by 3, 18, angel resident letter R, 666. No life at that point, but coming into the letter R with L and F, Lionel, F. That's a 12, and the letter F is 6. Father and mother, the 12th letter, 1 and 2, says father and mother. LF is 12, plus F is 6. L is 12, F is 6. Total is 18. You create the angel 18. You end up with 1, 2. You end up with 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 6. I'm in a blockage here. Trying to think. Angel resident. Anyways, you end up with 1, 2, 6, 1, 8. An angel resident, a child. 1, 2, 6, 1, 8. The ones repeat, so let's throw them out. 2, 6, 8. I just showed you 2, 6, 8 about the moons before. It's 2 sides of the world playing 6 of 8. What do I mean by 6 of 8? Six points, 8 points. This planet connects to over here, 6 points, and then there's another planet this way, connects to this one at 6 points, becomes 686. So we multiplied this and we came up with a number. I'm not sure where it is on my paper. Okay. So, yes, we were talking about 2014 and the passage and the coming of Jesus. One of the reasons why the passage of Jesus was over here, okay, because it's in between creation. Jesus can pass on all 3s. Everybody else must pass at 5. Because he's in between A and E creation. 1 and 5. 1 and 5 making the letter O, the 0. That's the love of all. Sometimes I won't remember some of this stuff. So we're back here again to Jesus, and he was born 3 years before, because that was the year of his passage. So Jesus now, according to the year we are in, this is the year 2015 that we should be in right now, from the time of the birth of Jesus. Would that be right? If he came in here -3, it's 2015. I just told you in the Hebrew calendar it's 2014, 2014, but October. In 2 months, it's 2015. The exact same time as when Christ came. Is in 2 years. Now, will he come 2 years before? Because he's only throwing one dice, and when he throws, he can roll a 1. We can't. We just play life with 2 dice. So that would mean it can be this year. Because 1967, the spirit of all, 76, exposed, a representative of all the pyramids that we saw, the buildings that they built in this show fashion of 67, reminding me only of Christ. Until the year they called Y2K is because they were not okay. It was 33 years. The years we always talked about, Christ, 33 this and 33 that, and Patrick, why, That's what it's all about, my friends. It's all about connecting. You open up 10 books, and if you see the same number in all 10 books and you figure out that they're all different, you're going to have a hell of a story on your hands. So you got to figure out how to do it. One at a time, one step. You don't learn everything at once. You learn it fast. So what happens, the year 2000 to 2012, let us add on to Jesus 33 years of his life and 12 years after his life, equals to 45. L is the 6th letter. O is the 15th letter, 2.5 times 6. X is the 24th letter. Fox equals 45. The foxhole, 2012. A dice cube on 2 sides. If you flip them over, if there's any corners that double up, count them for 1. 4 sides would equal to 20 on the dice cube. On 4 sides, we have 20. On 2 sides, we have 6 and 1. If you reverse the sides of where they are and match them up, you would still see the 7, saying 2006 for one side, 2012 for the other side, 1 and 1. 2013, 2014. If you take the mug and David and take a look at it, but draw in the lines, please, because when you draw in the lines, it's a little different. When I mean draw in the lines, put your angles the same way. Exact. You'll see that there are 2 X's that are a little different from the other points. In all actuality, they were the same. But when God planted us here, he spread eagle. And he moved them out. You put 2 triangles on top of each other, you got, I think, the sign of the Illuminati. You finish them up with a bar. Anyways, you get the mug and David. You look at each side to the left and the right, there's an X and an X. In Roman numerals, it's 10. Look above and below, you see a 5 and a 5. Then you see 2 sticks that close the doors of the mug and David. And that's his 2012. Another thing about the mug and David, if you take a look at it, when you look at its design, the top triangle has a bar. In Greek, I see it as delta, the 4th angle. What angle is the 4th angle? You take 4 aces, you take off the legs and you leave just the bar. You take a beehive and you shove these things on it, and they protect all the corners. They're called feeding stations. These feeding stations are known as Mercury, Earth, Uranus, and Pluto. They call life in black, back in black, and that's exactly where we are, on planet Saturn. Maybe we're inside Jupiter. But I only think the Earth is a mound of earth that they throw a baseball on to mix us up, so we don't open 6 books to see the difference. They give us enough definitions on Earth to mix us up. You got to go a little deeper. So they dug the hole a little deeper before Alice fell into the hole, where she found the reality of all, where Cinderella's slipper a glass slipper made of the Spirit of God, ice that melted at midnight, diamonds, ice, connection of the Spirit of the Spanish train as he pulled the diamond 8. As the devil pulled 4 asses out of his hole, that means a life was born, because it all starts at 4. So if the devil had 4 aces, he had life. He didn't have death. Sometimes I have to wait for it to fill up. So I'm going to go back to Mars, about the arrow bar. When all these planets turn over, I'm going to go back to Mars and a Mars and a Mars. Let me finish the delta. What happens now is this cap, this triangle, okay, is part of a cap, like I said before. You know, like on Bugs Bunny, he went up into space and he screwed off the top? It's like that. They're just caps. We're all inside the honeycomb of the mug and dove, and these are the caps. The Washington Capitals, Washington might win the World Series pennant this year. The Canadians ended the series with 24 Stanley Cups. The Christ, -3 to 2012, 2013, 2014. Because the evil has disturbed Mars. That's why Rover the dog is sniffing it out. They're trying to see what they get with their uranium, their ore, the gold, the hole, the passage, the energy that shoots out into the system, connecting with the other planets and talking to the above angels, their own angels. They got the connection back home. If I have the connection in my own head, then how can they not have it in their own head? And I'm not powerful yet. It always strengthens in the month of September. The coming of the silver, let's say crystal slipper. So Mars tilts and that's it. It keeps going. The bridges are open. The Suez Canal, the floodgates, the Hoover Dam breaks, blows up. Bridges fall in San Francisco because the water from above has been tilted. So the water below has to tilt itself so they balance again, bringing on disturbing things. It's not me and what I say. It is what it is. It calculates in numbers. It plays rhymes and games. It's interchanged with different games. The games are reality. You play the games. All I do is show you the difference. So what I am saying could be wrong in definition, but I'm definitely showing you the difference, which makes up the story in between. And that's how it all began. Where else should I go? What else should I do? What should I count? What should I not count? One thing about the 360 degrees, and I'm going to just about come to the end, is the 360 degrees, okay, is God 10 times the archangel letter is 180 degrees. 2 R's, 2 different system area lights is 36 times the 10. You only multiply it once because there is only one light because it's back in Jupiter. Your entire lives of the 2 depend on Jupiter. Sometimes you go forward and multiply by 2. Sometimes you go back 1. 360 degrees, angel resident, time of the Christ. The tides have tilted, and they won't stop. This time, the angle of the tilt is enough for someone to enter into the past. Raphael 72:86.